Hello and welcome to the Year of Being 70 podcast. I'm Lucy Macara. I'm in Norfolk in the UK and I'm with my lifelong friend Lisette Schoutemaker, who is in Amsterdam. And for almost more than the last year, actually, no, nearly, we have
Yeah.
been talking weekly and recording our conversations on this podcast, The Year of Being 70. And as Lisette has reached the venerable age of 71, and I am about to do so in about 10 days' time, this is our penultimate podcast in the year of being 70. So here we are. We hope that those of you who have listened to it a few times have enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed it. And so, Lisette, let's just have a catch up on your week because it has been really you've had a really interesting week. So let's catch up on that first.
I've had a very interesting week in the sense that I went to Berlin by train, as many of the 50 in the Dutch delegation did. We were a delegation to a day on steward ownership. And steward ownership is a term that was coined by, Steuernagel and his Purpose Foundation in Germany to note that a company is not owned by shareholders who want, maximization of profit, which not all shareholders want, but they might want that. But a company is owned by a foundation, and the foundation guards the mission of the company and the founders and the initial investors are compensated for their work and their risk, but in a reasonable manner, not in a billionaire manner. And after they're paid off, then the company basically is self-owned or is owned by its mission and cannot go astray. And very often there's like 99% in the foundation, and there's a golden share, and the golden share has a veto about changing the mission, changing the articles of association.
So
So
who can play that golden share? I mean, the company itself can't actually do that. Somebody or
yeah.
a group of somebodies must have use of it. So who becomes that golden shareholder?
Yeah, so the golden shareholder is, for instance, the Purpose Foundation in Germany that really coined this term. Um, and there are very, esteemed companies, many in Denmark like Carlsberg Beer, and many in Germany like Zeiss and Bosch, and in Switzerland like Rolex, who are steward owned, but never quite advertised it that way. So they have a Golden Share Foundation in which they really look at, they may know the company because we're still a small field. We basically know everybody in this movement, but and they can really look at that. And I'm actually in the process of a company doing this, and I might end up on that Golden Share Foundation. So you really want people who are passionate about the mission of the company and able to be a guardian in a sensible way. And so basically the company is run by itself. So there's but they can't enrich themselves. And
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, that's
But it was like I spoke to this Belgian man who last year he was at this event by himself. Now he was with 30 other people from Belgium,
wow.
50 people from the Netherlands. And it was a very contentful day. Talk about ownership. What is ownership really? And philosophical too. And at the end, they switched to German. And there were three German politicians from the three leading parties. And they were saying it's wonderful to work together on this topic. And thank you so much to the Purpose Foundation. And we're going to make sure that this is going to be a legal format, which is also happening, on the table in the Netherlands and also in a European context. So there will be a new legal format for this kind of company.
That's fantastic. And will that be international? Will that be kind of like at least Europe wide, or is it specific country
Europe-wide,
specific?
I think in the UK, you are more geared towards employee-owned. Like
Right.
John Lewis is
Yes.
employee-owned. So that's more a
Yes.
format that is tried and tested in the UK. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's so interesting
So,
that you're actually, I mean, that's such a powerful thing that you've been part of, you are part of, it's
yeah.
really, really transformatory. I mean, would you say that this model is part of capitalism or stands outside capitalism? Sorry to get a bit philosophical about this, but is
Yeah,
it,
no, but what I'm interested in, or have become more and more interested in how, can how can we change systems?
yeah,
And I think, the system, capitalism, I don't want, it's good in many ways. And there are a few companies, only so many, because most companies are small and medium sized and just, plodding on and working, and also family businesses that are handed from one to the next. And but some people are just compensated inordinately
yeah,
about something they thought of, and millions of thousands of other people are working on. And also the whole hereditary thing. What is that?
hereditary, yeah,
Hereditary thing when you are a great granddaughter of someone who has made a wonderful invention. Why would you live of dividends? Why does that not go into the company so the
yeah,
company can do kind of in a charitable way what it does in a business way? That's the whole idea also.
yeah. So it's sort of transforming capitalism, and it's still
Yeah,
based
or
on
adding
on
a format
capital.
to it, adding a
Yeah.
format to it, and in that way, yeah, changing the way, the whole shareholder value thing.
Yes.
Create shareholder value. Why? Why not create customer value? Of course, you have to create customer value in order to create shareholder value. But I think the whole shareholder value is way, way, way overrated,
Yeah.
you know,
Has got too much power, has got too
has
much,
got too
too
much
much.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's got too much invested in it, but that's a sort of tautological kind of, I mean, it's sort of like the
Yeah.
only thing, it's sort of like so market driven that that
Yeah.
is the only thing that really matters. And I think
Yeah.
that's where it's gone personally, I think where it's gone dreadfully wrong in the UK, where things that should be owned by the state have become privatized, and things like the water companies have been all about making shareholder money,
Yeah.
and totally to the detriment and destruction
Yeah.
of and well the environment and everybody,
Yeah.
everybody who lives in the area where that water is a service that we should all have be able to
Yeah, I think
participate in.
we both, due to our old age, lived through the time that all of a sudden that neoliberalism, took hold very much for you, and the
Yeah.
Thatcher and Reagan and then Blair, and here too. It was like companies can do everything better than state-owned businesses, and it's just not true. Some
No,
things should be services that we
no,
provide
exactly.
and that we all pay for,
Yeah,
so people in small villages can also have a bus service.
exactly, exactly. I mean, there are certain
Yeah,
things I think should exactly be not be shareholder owned. I mean, transport, education, health,
yeah,
water, air.
yeah.
In fact, I mean, things like anyway. That's
Yeah, no, that's a whole other topic where, that's another systemic intervention where we should change taxes, not have
yes,
taxes on value added, but have taxes on value extracted.
yes, yes. That's absolutely right. Yeah,
Yeah.
fascinating. So the outcome was really positive
Well, the
for
outcome
good for
was,
you.
that we're all kind of feel yay, and then those politicians who really, they said next year, if you invite us to the stage again, we will have made sure that this is here. So they really made very strong
Yeah,
comments.
that's amazing. That's
And
really
yeah, and it felt like, this is a movement. I've got the bag here. Can
oh
you see?
nice. What drives the behavior of the company you work for, buy from, give your data to, collaborate with, or invest in? Corporate in bracket ownership matters. Steward-ownership.com. That's what we should all go and look at. Wonderful. What a
I
nice
will
bag to have.
tomorrow. I have a meeting because I am a steward at this company called Crowd Building, which brings together people who want to build, a neighborhood, and municipalities and provinces that have land available for that. And I'm a steward at that company because I've invested in it, so I represent the other investors for the time that we are investors. Hopefully that will be over in about 5 to 7 years. They will have paid us off, and then the company is self-owned. And so tomorrow I planned on, bringing my stuff
Absolutely.
in this bag, but they will also all have that bag. So that
Good.
whole company was there. It was also like a really good company outing to be
How lovely.
feel that they are part of not only a movement to help solve a shortage of living spaces, but also a movement of changing ownership or adding a format to it. I also believe there's not one, no monoculture,
Yeah.
ecosystems everywhere.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, that's
Yeah,
sort of
that was my week.
that's a brilliant week. I mean, that what what you've just said there. Just I was thinking today that what have I learnt from doing this podcast with you, talking to you on a weekly basis, and that is one of the things I've learnt from you. You've got so much experience and wisdom and clear thought around that sort of improvement in life. And I've learned a lot from you over this last year about an attitude to money, and investment and ownership, and just a lot of I'm just very, very increasingly impressed at what you do. It's been such a pleasure. I mean, having known you from a little girl, it's a funny thing to, I think often when you've known people, when it's members of your family or friends you've known a long time, you sort of take them for granted in a lot of ways, and they're just that funny little person you once knew, or that quirky, adult, or you've done these sort of rather odd things in life or something. But actually, sort of speaking to each other over the last year, I guess we've come to know each other in a different sort of way as
Well,
well.
we've never spoken as much as we've
No,
spoken this year,
no,
because when you
absolutely.
trace it back, we met when we were 8. I
Yeah.
I did not speak English, but you taught me.
Well, I didn't teach you English, but
Well, these two eldest girls went around with notebooks pointing at things, and I would say the Dutch word very useful to you, and you would say the English word, and my father would joke about it. And then, we would point at a window, and one would say window, and the other would say glass, so
yes,
the word didn't always match, but we were 8, or 9,
yes,
maybe 8, I
yes,
think. And so then you came to stay with us when we were 12 or so.
yes, that's
I came
right.
to
Yeah.
stay with you when we were, I think, 14.
Yes, yes. You came back possibly the next year or the year
Yeah,
after.
13,
Yes.
14.
It was sort
So
of.
then, of course, we spoke all the time
Yes, and
because
your
uh,
English was then excellent, of course. My Dutch was no better.
Dutch is now better. My English it's my point to prove, I must have had lives in English speaking because, yeah, I was very young when I could speak English already. It's very
Yes, yes. I mean, actually, that's one of the other things that I've kind of taken from you over this year as well. I mean, you're so intellectually smart and sharp, and you believe in things that some people would consider strange, maybe, or not strange, but sort of,
I've
on the
always
kind of.
been considered strange. That's one of the things in my life. Yeah.
But you definitely believe in past lives, and that certainly opened my, not necessarily beliefs, but the possibilities. You've opened that up for me,
Past
and I'm
lives and future
fascinated
lives.
by the idea that you think that you were an English speaker in
Yeah,
another
must have
life, and
been.
it's really true. You do have an extraordinary turn of phrase, and some of it is quite archaic in a way.
Oh,
Sometimes you use,
really?
well, not well, yeah, I can't put my finger on anything now, and I haven't sort of picked up on it, but sometimes I think, that's a funny old phrase you've used there, and
Funny.
I wonder where, I sometimes have
Well, I picked
wondered
it
where
up.
that comes from.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yeah, that's just a reservoir and it just
yeah,
comes without thinking.
but do
To
you
continue the
see?
timeline also is then I think we did not see much of each other
No,
until you and Rob came to Amsterdam,
that's
I
right.
think before you had children.
I think yes, it may have been, yes, or yes, yes, it could well have been, yeah. And then And then
And
you,
then I came over to yours as well. And I
yes, you came
know
and
Rob
stayed with
invited
us.
me to his 40th birthday, so I don't know when that was. And I was just too busy to be even to consider even to come. And I so remember him saying, "But you must come. I'll be rolled in a wheelchair. I'll be old." And you know. And I so remember that because later I thought, of course I should have gone. Why do I think I am too busy to do these things? But that's a theme also. Anyway, and then,
I don't know when we saw each other after that, bits and pieces. And then I think another time we caught up was when you wrote The Eldest Daughter
yeah,
Effect, and I read your manuscript, and I think I made some suggestions, possibly about your turns of your
my
turn of
archaic turns of
phrase.
phrase. And then you very graciously, and I was very touched by that, said, if you do an event, I'm happy to host it.
Yes,
And,
no, that was
um,
lovely. And you put on an event in the city of London, I think it
yeah,
was. And I kind of, yes, was kind of the facilitator a bit. And my mum, who is also an eldest daughter, also came along to that. And then we were kind of more in touch again at that
I
point.
wanted to give there's this, I don't know if you have that in the UK that you give the kind of the first book to someone. And I wanted to
Oh,
present the
right.
first book to
Ah,
your mother, who I call Tante Jill. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And then we've sort
No,
of,
and yeah, and since then, I mean, we've kept in touch, but of course, we've never ever spoken every week, and we're gonna
no.
miss that.
No, no, I know. Perhaps I mean, we will obviously go on speaking, but we just won't record our conversations
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
But yes, yes, no, you've
yeah. So
definitely,
what I have learned about you is, haha, there we go.
oh dear.
So what a you're like this person who doesn't see themselves as a force of nature, but you are. I mean, a few episodes ago, you spoke about this red thread in your work that you give a voice to those who don't have it. And again, Lucy, that moves me. And from when you were so young and already married, and then emigrated to Australia, and then started a theater magazine because there wasn't one. Those people were kind of, invisible, you made them visible, to your amazing work with women who you are in all kinds of ways, prodding and saying, you have something to say, and I can help you say it.
Yes, well, yeah, I mean, that is a nice concept that my friend Mel came up with that kind of unites my work. I really cannot take credit for the theatre magazine. That was very much Rob's idea and Rob's passion. I mean, I was, behind, well, I can't say I was to begin with, but I was. I mean, I certainly threw myself into it and, we worked incredibly hard to make it happen. And we did have a passion for Australian theatre, which was kind of the underdog of theatre at the time. There was still a lot about, sort of English classics and
Oh, yeah.
English playwrights being better than Australians and English actors coming over to take roles in Australian theatre productions and that sort of thing. So yes, I do think we had an effect on that. And those magazines are still in I mean, they're in the Canberra National Library, they're in university libraries, and apparently they're used for, theatre and drama research. So that's nice to think that all those late nights when we were laying
That
out
is wonderful. That is
magazines on our
wonderful.
dining room table kind of have
And when
become a
I
thing.
said, about Berlin, we're part of a movement. I mean, you also started something there, and together with Rob, but you did do it together.
Yes, yes, no, we did, absolutely. It was very much,
Yeah.
sort of how we were really working together. So
Yeah.
so
And
yes.
then with Rethink Press, of course, you've also worked together with a younger man, like
Yes,
your second
yes.
husband, your new husband,
No,
30 years.
no, no, definitely not.
Huh?
Not that I learned my lesson the first time.
Yeah, no, no, no,
So,
not you never was rich, but you were kind of with, a younger man making this
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
And
yeah, no,
also,
it's
what I'm
true.
so impressed with is, I mean, you have an amazing memory of what has happened and who was where and how it was and what you wore and who was there and all kinds of things I've completely forgotten. I kind of jogged by your,
It's
yeah,
funny. I mean,
recounting and reliving of when you were younger.
yes, I mean, I thought everybody remembered things like that, but I have come to the conclusion that maybe, maybe not. And I perhaps do have quite a good memory for not just, yeah, well, I don't know, all sorts of things. I mean, it's a whole kind of, it's like I have a film, I have a video of everything that well, all the bits that I can remember. Of course, I don't know how unreliable I am. It may be, maybe
We
I
all have
make
our
things up.
own
I
point
don't
of
know.
view.
But yeah, I do, I can sort of, I can see little details and I remember things that people said specifically.
Yeah.
And yes, it seems that other people don't always remember so well as that. But yes, it's,
I don't remember so well. And, I remember after my mother's passing that there were things I remembered. And then my siblings went like, it wasn't like that at all.
well,
But
that's the
it
problem,
must
isn't
have
it?
been
Yes.
like that for me, or, but also I think this film that you have is also where you're longing to be a fiction author. There's
Yes,
also that,
yes.
right?
I think that's true. I want to kind of somehow reproduce it in some way. I want to share
Yeah.
the specifics, the memories and the vision. And that's, yeah. So I will, I still have that on my to-do list. I've started a novel this year, but I haven't finished it. So I have not, I said I would finish it by September, but I haven't. I've got waylaid by another non-fiction book and other stuff, but I will get back to it. I will get back
Yeah,
to it.
because there is a real longing in you to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true. So I must do it.
I
So what?
must, I must. So here's what you teach, right? You have to make time for it, otherwise it won't happen. But sometimes there is just
Yes,
too much life. And we're also, I think, both feel utterly grateful that we are still in the mix, that we're still so busy and have so much to do. And
absolutely. Yeah, we are both incredibly lucky. I mean, I do think, that we're sort of physically, mentally lucky. We haven't succumbed to any horrible diseases that so many people get, or we are
yeah,
lucky in that way. But also, I do think it's fair to say that we have just not accepted aging as any kind of decline. I mean, that's, it's as much our attitude as
yeah.
that we have both shared that. And in a way, I think, talking like this over the year has kind of reinforced that for me that, there's no, there's nothing kind of like well, I think what's also happened is that by being very public about being 70 and having slightly worried before that people would think, oh gosh, 70 over the hill, we need to kind of get rid of her or, no longer useful kind of thing. That actually, by being very public about being 70, it's become a kind of USP. I'm able to kind of go and say, well, I'm 70, so, here I am. And
Yeah.
and actually, I really hope that one of the things that has, I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, we have had a surprising to me amount of downloads for our YouTube podcast. I mean, it has, and the last one we've had nearly 25,000 views.
Really.
Extraordinary. Yeah, it's just. I mean, the annoying thing is, Lisette, it's just taking off as we're about to
As
finish.
we're about to close, well,
But but I hope that by being public about it and talking to, other people who are not necessarily as old or possibly older than us. I mean, both, even people kind of hitting their 40s and thinking, oh goodness,
like Rob said, I will be old, I'll be, not true, not true. I think what was especially helpful is when we looked back to our last decade. It's like we
yeah,
did take 5 years, 60 to 65, and we were both amazed looking back how productive we have been. And then
yes.
65 to 70, we're like, wow.
Yes,
That was
yes.
so different from also my internal image.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I mean, yes, unlike you, I'm not a sort of, well, I don't know if you, but I'm not a planner. I don't kind of look ahead very much and think, oh, I'm going to retire at this age, or, this is my plan. I just very much take life as it comes. But I'm sure I would have, I had at some level, 70 is, you can't keep on doing everything you're doing.
No.
But absolutely, I feel
Although
I
your
feel
mother did, you have
yeah,
a
yeah,
role
she did.
model
She
as a
did.
mother who just kept on and published her final book when she was 90.
90. Yeah, she did. And she had lots of I think she started sort of resigning from committees she was on when she was just over 90. She thought, maybe I should.
I hope to do that too. I hope to do
I
that too.
know. I know
Yeah. The
exactly.
other day I was at a conference and you were asked to register, and say some things about yourself. And then what are your hobbies? I thought, my hobby is to be on boards and it's volunteer work. So it can be a hobby, right? Just
Yes,
a hobby.
yes, yes. No, I always have great difficulty if people say, what are your hobbies? I think I was asked, I've actually, one of the things that I have done this year, there's a few things I feel I've achieved this year and one of them is, well, one of them's losing weight, but one of them is also doing more exercise. And I've just signed up to a Pilates course. I've been doing the beginner's course
Great.
and now, but I was asked, the form you fill in when you do that asks what are your hobbies, and I suppose it's in relation to exercise. Do you, I don't know, go swimming, or what do we need to know about you, what you do physically? But I was like, oh, what are my hobbies? I don't know. So I put stupid things that aren't hobbies at all. They're just things I have to do, and I do, like walking dogs, family. What?
Yeah.
Reading. I mean, it's just, it's not a
Yeah.
hobby, it's just part
No,
of
no,
my
no. I
life.
think we are very similar. We've also discovered similarities in
Yes.
we don't have real hobbies. We just like to
No.
work, 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 and we feel that is, brings us joy, brings us interesting people and things to think about. And
Well, it's
yeah,
just, yes. I mean, as somebody who worked in work-life balance, it's an odd thing, but I don't have a balance. They're all the same to me. I don't discriminate between work and life. It's the same. It's all one continuum of lots of
yeah,
different things. And I don't
yeah.
have to say, look, I need to have time off to do this, or I mean, I don't discriminate my weekends from my weekdays
Yeah, I
particularly.
do. I do discriminate my weeks. I have never, even when I had a company, now, what is it, 40, 35 years ago, I never worked on Saturdays. I made a point of doing other things and seeing other things and just not
Yeah,
sitting.
no, I mean, I think, everybody
Yeah.
sets up their own boundaries,
Yeah.
and that's completely fine. Mine are just like everything else, rather messy. So,
Yeah, but you were rather messy. Yeah, I'm not messy. I'm very structured, but I'm not a planner. I'm a
no,
responder. I'm also not so much an initiator. I respond to questions. That's why it is so great. I still get so many, but I get
yes,
a bit too many these days. But yeah, and then I respond and I try to be true to, my what I feel. I'm a paver of the way. So is this adventurous enough? Is this really new? Would this not happen, if not pioneers stepped in? So
yes,
I try to
yes,
make that a
yes.
criterion.
It is useful to have an overview of your life like that, like mine, could be described as giving a platform to unheard voices. It's sort of something to test new
Yeah.
ventures or ideas or something about. Does this really fit in with my values or my, what I'm here for almost? I have much more kind of developed a sense of, perhaps I am here to achieve some specific things to get. I mean, I'm not a determinist, but is if there's a reason for me being here, then I really feel, and I especially feel it now at this age, I need, if I'm here for a reason, I better hurry up and get it,
Oh, but you've been
get it
doing it
done.
all the time. You've been
Yes,
doing
but
it all the time.
yes, it's true, and so have you, obviously, but I think I feel more than you a kind of a lack of time left, even though I think, we'll probably, hopefully, continue to be lucky and be able to work and do what we, are interested in and contribute. I mean, to go
Yeah,
on
but there is a
contributing.
lack of time. I mean, Diana Keaton dying at
Yes,
79, Robert Redford dying. I mean, these are people we have lived with.
exactly,
We don't know them,
exactly.
but yet we saw them all the time. They were,
They were our
and now they're
contemporaries.
just, 8 years older than me. And
I know, it's
oops,
terrifying. Yeah, no, that
yeah,
is that is starting to sort of impinge. And actually people I know in real life who,
yeah,
are kind of my sort of age of,
yeah,
somebody I know had a terrible stroke the other day and is, the life is just cut off.
yeah.
He survives, but not
Yeah.
usefully
No,
for
so I
yeah.
don't think about that all the time, but
No.
obviously in investment decisions, when there's a fund and it has a runway of 12 years plus two, I go like in 14 years, I'll be 85. Will I
Yeah.
still be around? That's now not reasonable.
No.
Uh, I need a kind of shorter term
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But I will also kind of saddle my nephews and nieces with a few of these things, and they might be more or less interested. Yeah.
Yes, no, that's good. There's a sort of passing on that has to be done as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So two other things I've learned from you. One is I shower less. I don't shower.
Ooh,
When we
yay!
were talking about things you didn't know about me, kind of thing, you said that you didn't shower every day, and you said why, and completely, completely reasonable. Yes, absolutely no need to waste that much water every single day, or yes. So yes, that's one thing I've learned from you, and the other thing is that I I've learnt it, but I haven't fully implemented it yet, and that is to be gracious and accept compliments when they're given to me. I find it still hard to do. But in fact, I realize actually that I think I was talking to my mother yesterday, and who's about to be 98, and she was saying, "Oh, I'm sorry I haven't been a better mother. I should have." And I said, "Mum, you are the best mother I could have had. Totally, and she was doing exactly what I do. No, no, I could have been better. I should have been better.
Oh, so you go
So
like,
I think
oh, that's
I
that's maybe
blame
where it
her.
comes from.
Yes, I think it maybe does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yes.
no, it's very difficult to really allow compliments and go like, is that really true? Could
Yeah.
it be? But other, people are mirrors. And I would love, because I still kind of catch you at making yourself smaller than you are. Because
Yeah.
you're not small. You've had a huge influence on the lives of many, many people. From the theater makers, but then together with Rob, but also, yeah, 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 there you go. But all these people, and especially the women who have published books because of you and become, more of an authority in their field. I mean, they really they think you're grand, and you are.
Well, it's true that people do sometimes say that, and I just wondered.
Sometimes, notice the sometimes, yes.
So thank you. I appreciate you
I'm
noticing
glad
that.
you noticed. Yes. Yeah.
So yes, very, very
Well, I
interesting.
was saying to another friend who also kind of makes herself small, and some years ago, somebody said to me, I had made a remark in I had actually made a remark. There was a circle I was in, like a week's retreat, and they said, anything want to be shared, anything can be shared. And so there were lots of Americans, and then I said, I do feel that, the American way really is dominant in this circle. And the whole circle blew up and everybody was, oh, do you feel diminished because you're not American? No, it wasn't that. It just felt the Americans don't know how American they are.
No, no,
They
no,
talk
exactly that.
loud and they think they're, and this is very generalizing, but even in that very conscious circle. So, and then, the next day somebody said to me, you have no idea of the power of your words. You carry authority. When you come into a room, you carry authority. And I was like,
Yeah,
moi, little me, the
I
shy
know,
girl,
I
the
know.
odd one out, the one who my mother always said, you're a bit off. Lisette, how can I carry authority? But I had to to acknowledge that
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
And so, I said, I apt actually to my friend is, no, when you make yourself smaller, it's just, stop it. It's time
Yeah.
to stop it.
Yes.
And you too, Lucy, I mean, the other day you told the story about, your lecture without the slides and how, you touched people and then someone came up to you and this whole, business deal happened. And
Yes, I know. It still feels quite strange to me that that
yes, but it
could
does
have
feel
been that
strange,
way.
but I think it is a garment we need to,
Yeah, yeah.
you
No,
know,
I think you're right.
to
I think
start wearing with
yeah.
grace
Yeah.
at this age. Haha.
Yes, indeed at this age. Yes, because if not now, when?
If not now, when? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's that's good.
Yeah. So what I've also seen in you is with your two families, like your sons from your first husband and then your daughters, your adopted daughters, how how non-judgmental you are about how they conduct their lives. And I find that an amazing quality in parents because sometimes your children are very different from you and make choices you wouldn't make, or you go like, oh my god, this is also risky, or and you kind of, I feel, yeah, kind of look at them and watch them with a full heart, a little bit from a distance, and go like, if that is your path, I'll walk alongside you, I'll be there, whatever. And yeah, I
Well,
mean, that is such beautiful motherhood.
that's a very nice thing of you to say, Lisette, because that probably of everything I do, that probably is what I most value being good at doing as well and as supportively and effectively as possible. So I really, really genuinely accept that compliment with a lot of gratitude because
Yeah.
that is lovely, and I hope that that is the case because yes, I mean, yeah, my two bunches of children, my four children are all very different and have very yeah do very different things, operate in very different ways, and I sort of feel I think that I just have that stretchiness somehow that I can encompass their I can kind of get into their lives and their heads as sort of I don't know, I don't really know how to explain this, but I remember
Well, maybe that's also the fiction writer in you
yeah, yeah.
because they live out, and then you kind of get into the heads of these personalities who happen to be your children.
Yes. You think I think of them as just characters on a
Characters.
page.
What is this character doing now? Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yes,
Now,
no,
well,
I
oh,
under
that's good for the plot. Yeah.
yes, yes, and I have to understand the motivation to make it sort of yeah, and not judge it. Yes, maybe I'll write the story one day.
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
I don't think that
No,
will
but it
please
is
anyone.
very sweet that you say you get into their heads and you're not kind of feel, I mean, it shines through every time you talk about. And I also carry this image of you going to the theater with your sons.
Oh, I did that last
Imagine,
week. It was lovely. Yes.
are you sitting in the middle? I always have
I
you sitting in the middle.
not always, but I was. I was last week. We saw the Bacchae at the National Theatre, which was extraordinary, and we had dinner beforehand. And my younger son had just been to see my mother, and he was yes, it was
He has
no,
a
it was
very special connection to your mother, right?
yes, yes. I mean, it was yeah, no, it was just it's just lovely when we get together. It is very and when we sort of also have a theatre event to discuss and
Yeah.
focus through. It's brilliant. But yeah, no, I just
I think it is a lovely thing to do. A lovely thing to do. So there your passion for the theater comes, but yeah, they
yeah.
both share it, and I agree. I mean, when you just sit and talk, I mean, now you have a theme or a
Yes,
yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, no, it's very nice. It works very well.
Yeah.
So, yes, there we are.
There we are next week.
Next week is our final talk. I mean, the other thing I've said a couple of times is that I'm very bad at endings. I hate endings. I feel they pain me and I'm not good at them. And
Mm.
even when I'm sort of doing a video, recording a video, I find it very difficult to end the video. I can't finish on a nice kind of like upbeat. And so there we are, and that's what I've said, and I can never do
And
it.
you do a lot of
So
videos.
I
I've
do.
seen you. I've seen you a lot
I
on
do. Luckily, I
all,
have a
all
great
media.
producer who's kind of who's grasped that, I need directing to be able to
Yeah.
say something specific at the end.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm probably next week when it's our final one, I'll probably just trail off and not actually there'll kind of be a
No,
door
we
left
we will
open.
celebrate our year of turning 70.
Yes, yes, we'll
We
have
will
to.
celebrate this year as another year in which we're still.
Yes, actually, it has been a fantastic year. Actually, I really have. I mean, I'll preempt our
I'll
the
preempt. So
spoiler, the
next week,
spoiler
our
for next.
final episode, we'll look back at the year and
Yeah,
say goodbye to each other and to all of our listeners growing in numbers, just as we stop.
yes,
But fortunately, there are all the other episodes they
yes,
can still
exactly,
enjoy.
exactly. It's all sitting there. Yeah, and
So
annoyingly, next week will be our 49th episode, and we just can't round it off with a 50th because you wouldn't.
7 times 7, beautiful.
Okay, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Great.
Okay, dear Lucy.
Okay, well,
See you next
we'll see
week.
each other next week. Yes,
Yes.
see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.